everybody, my name is Tanya and today we're going to talk about Den of Wolves by Juliet Marillier. So Den of Wolves is the third and final book in the Blackthorn and Grimm series by Juliet Marillier. I'm going to talk about this one completely spoiler free. I'm going to keep it spoiler free for this book but also the whole series, so if you haven't read the earlier ones, don't worry. This book was very kindly provided to me by the publishers Pan Macmillan here in Australia, but of course all sorts are entirely my own. I was very excited when Pan Macmillan reached out to me and asked if I would want this book. This was my most anticipated release of this year. I absolutely adore Juliet Marillier, which you've no doubt gathered as I speak about her a lot on my channel, and I would definitely recommend this book. This one came out at the end of September or the start of October here in Australia, so I'm a little bit behind in finishing this one. As most people know, I've been studying, so I've been a little bit sidetracked, and while I started this one very soon after Pan Macmillan sent it to me, it's taken me quite a while to finish. That's got nothing to do with my enjoyment level of it, just my actual, time for reading, but I loved every minute of this, and just, yeah, she's done it again. So first, to talk about the series as a whole, the Blackthorn and Grimm series follows two characters, Blackthorn and Grimm, who are a little bit different to Juliet Marillier's regular protagonists. So a lot of Juliet Marillier's stories are told from the perspective of a young teenage girl. These ones are a little bit older, so we're following Blackthorn and Grimm, who I expect are in their 30s. They're older, they're, more world-weary, embittered, have had a lot of horrible things happen to them in their times, and so they're starting from a very different perspective, which I really enjoyed. Each of the Blackthorn and Grimm stories are told through multiple perspectives, so we have chapters that are told from the perspective of Blackthorn, we've got chapters that are told from the perspective of Grimm, and then a third perspective that is integral to that particular story. So that's true of the first two. The last one, Den of Wolves, was actually told from four perspectives. So we have the usual Blackthorn and Grimm, but then two other characters that are quite integral to the storyline, telling their story. So as this series opens, we're following Blackthorn and Grimm as they are imprisoned in atrocious circumstances, kind of wrongly, unjustly imprisoned in the lands of a man named Matthew of Leash, who is just a horrible character who mistreats a lot of people. And on the eve of the day that Blackthorn is going to get a chance to speak out against the wrongs that he is doing, she finds that she's going to be quietly done away with and not get that chance for vengeance that she so craves. And through that, she's offered a lifeline, in the interference of the Fae. One of the Fae comes to her and offers her this lifeline and a chance to start life again, but with conditions. And so those conditions placed on her restrict her movements and mean that she isn't able to then seek out that vengeance that she is desperate to receive, and a chance to right the wrongs that Matthew has done to many people, herself and many others, over the time that he has been ruling this land. And so under great sufferance she agrees to these terms, and she and Grimm become travelling companions in this kind of uneasy alliance, and go off to try and make a life and to help others while simmering underneath and desperately wanting this revenge. And so that's kind of the overarching theme of the series, but each of the three books kind of deals with a localized issue at the same time. I absolutely adored the characters in this one. They're such rich, true, real characters who have had much hardship, who are very damaged individuals, and so it takes time in the series to kind of find out their backstories and for them to open and to share with others, or even just to us as the reader, what is going on. And so in Dreamer's Pool we kind of find out the backstory of Blackthorn and why she is the way she is. She's a very prickly, very hard to trust and very damaged woman from what she's been through in her past. In the second novel we find out a bit more about Grimm and his storyline. He's kind of seen as this hulking giant without much in the way of brains, who's just there to lift things and doesn't really have much thought. But he's such a sweet, wonderful character and so caring, and I loved him, and finding out more about his backstory and of course the horrific things that have happened in his past and how he landed in the lockup where they were treated so abominably. So we kind of find out a bit more about their stories, and then Den of Wolves is kind of that one to see whether there's healing that can be done for them, and whether that they can put their pasts behind them. To talk a little bit of Den of Wolves in particular, as I said, we're continuing on with the stories of Blackthorn and Grimm. In this one we introduce the narrators of Kara, who is a young girl who lives in Wolf's Glen, which is a kind of area close to where Blackthorn and Grimm are living. And then the fourth perspective we get is kind of quick choppy chapters from a man named Barden, who is a wild man who kind of appears out of the woods one day where Kara lives, and there's great mystery surrounding this man and his past. Kara's mother died when she was very young. She's been raised by her father and an aunt. Her father is quite harsh. He sends Kara away when Barden appears, and to keep her out of the way as this kind of mystery unravels, which is very harsh on her. She's very connected to the woods. She just wants to be in the trees and to be around other people. When she's having trouble speaking to them, it's very difficult for her. Meanwhile, Grimm is employed up at Wolf Glen by Kara's father for this secret project, and so he's being kept away from Blackthorn a lot, and so they're struggling with their independence but also their growing need to be and reliance on one another. And it was just wonderful. I really enjoyed this so much. I'm sad that we are now finished with these characters, because I definitely would like to continue on with them. As I said, they're such strong characters and so nuanced, I guess, and so there's so much backstory to them that we're discovering through this, that I found it, really comforting to be back with them again. The first two books in the series I actually listened to as opposed to reading, and I would highly recommend that route. There is a narrator for each of the different perspectives within the book. So Blackthorn and Grimm were each narrated by a specific person in both the first two audiobooks, and then there was a third narrator for the third perspective. And those voices are so much Blackthorn and Grimm to me that when I was reading this, I could hear that narration in my head. Even though I hadn't listened to this particular book, I could still hear what they were meant to sound like to me because of the fact that I'd experienced the audiobooks in the past. And so I would definitely recommend the audiobooks as a great way to go with this series. So thank you once again to Pan Macmillan for sending this one to me. It was an absolute joy, and like I said, this is my most anticipated book for the year, so I was thrilled to get the chance to get this one early, even if I didn't actually manage to complete it before it came out or get a video up for quite a while. But it's here now. So if you read this one or anything else by Juliet Marillier, let me know in the comments what you thought of them, and if you've got any questions about anything that I've said today, do let me know. As always, thank you all for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye.